Okay. Can you hear me? People in the back? It's clear? Is it loud? Okay, if you can hear me, please raise your hand. Can you hear me? It's good? In the people in the back? It's good? Okay. Okay. So, anyway, I think this is good. First of all, I'd like to take this opportunity to express my heartfelt greetings as well as deep sense of gratitude and appreciation to Geshe-la for taking this precious time from your busy schedule to bestow us, your presence and also your insight into the Buddha Dharma that you are so perfectly suited and skilled in this modern day. And so we are eternally grateful. And I won't take much time, but I just wanted to request Geshe-la, I have done so in the email, to briefly talk about the importance and significance of pilgrimage, and then the need to accumulate merit. And so that's what I'd like to request, and so please listen and pay attention. Thank you.
Welcome you all. And in fact, it has been, I think, about like 6 or 7 years that I first met Rinpoche in Road Institute. And then after that, I think second time here. Yeah. And by the way, where is Sharon? Yes, over there. He's communicating, so diligently communicating. And I could feel the warmth, which I feel that perhaps is Rinpoche's blessings and influence, teachings that Sharon manifested this incredible zeal and the warmth. That's amazing. So, having said this, how many of you, it's your first time here in Tibet House Delhi? Raise hands. Okay, most of you. So let me quickly explain what Delhi Tibet House is like. So basically, His Holiness the Dalai Lama has 2 offices in Delhi. One is more the state affairs, which is close by here. It's not too far away. And this is the cultural wing of His Holiness. And it has been many years, almost like now 60 years, that this institute was established. And the main purpose is the multifold in terms of organizing conferences, exhibitions, and we have a small museum up there and the library as well. And my predecessor, I don't know whether Rinpoche knows him, Dubur Rinpoche, and unfortunately he passed away recently. And it has been almost like 14 years that I'm here. And since my taking charge of Tibet House, so I did not really have anything extra to do. Whatever my predecessors, several of them, since the beginning was in 1964. From there, the series of directors, they worked in their own capacity to bring this up, and all the blessings of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And the visions of His Holiness, the messages of His Holiness conveyed through Tibet House, meaning that Tibet House takes a responsibility, a part of it. And then my coming to Tibet House is where I focus more on the education. Not because that I'm so good in education, because I'm totally incompetent in other areas. So therefore, this is only choice. And I really mean it. I'm very incompetent with these performing dances, songs, organizing these and so forth. I was totally very bad in it. So there's no choice. This is my training and this is what I've been doing. But I would say that His Holiness the Dalai Lama, since we started this particularly more established course known as the Nalanda Master's Course, 5 years Nalanda Master's Course, the offline, online, both, and that His Holiness was extremely happy, and it was, I would say that it's purely again not because of anything, because of my greatness, nothing of that sort. It's all because of His Holiness the Dalai Lama saying that the world requires peace, and the peace comes through cognitive transformation. And for the cognitive transformation, we learn cognitively we should be aware and actively aware as to how things are all dependently connected, interdependent. And with this, say, while the Western philosophy, modern science, physics, particularly quantum mechanics, relativity theory, they were all there, but Buddhist philosophy, particularly from the Nalanda tradition, it has a lot to offer as a service to the humanity in the rendering this concept of interdependence, the philosophy of interdependency. And so this, because it has a tremendous capacity, the moment you understand that we are dependent on each other, your compassion automatically grows. Just to give you a very simple example, it was, I think, about like 2012, maybe 12 years ago. 12 years ago, I was going for my personal retreat in the Lahore, from which is about like, I think about like 14, 15 hours from here. Actually more than that, but first we have to go to Manali. From there we have to again cross one pass. Now it's way easier. And I had no experience. It was my first time. And then my friend to whom I relied on, so finally you decide how I get there. So he helped me to get me a small taxi, small cab. And you have to climb the pass. And the pass, in the middle of the pass, my small taxi got stuck. And then I got the sense, and the taxi driver was also a young one, no experience. And then then what do you do? I had no experience. What do you do? But to my amazement, there were so many people around him, around a car, and they were all very smiling, friendly, and some young, energetic young men. Without being asked, they helped us to smilingly. They just lifted our car and put it on the safe place, and then we drove. Wow, I was so amazed. This is humanity. I was so amazed. Then after my retreat, coming back, again my friend hired a small taxi. So the pass was like this, very steep, and then at the top is the plateau, and then you climb down, and then returning after 1 month, the car got stuck at the plateau. Not down. And plateau, 6 o'clock is already drizzling in the month of June, and yet I could imagine how cold that would be. If you get stuck there in the night, finish. You will die. That I could sense. You could feel the bite of the cold. And then I thought that, okay, no, don't worry, there's humanity there. The people who come to rescue you. Nobody came. Then there were cars passing by, and then we thought that they'll just stop by to help us. Nobody, they simply passed by. Then I told the driver was a private car, it's not the commercial car. And the driver also happened to be again another young man and very shy. I said, now we cannot be shy. We should go out and just wave a hand, stop people. And he was doing like this. I said, don't do like this, do like this. Because people will not understand what you are saying. And then we did that, still nobody stopped. Still nobody stopped. So finally, don't worry, I'm here. The question is, why in the first case, just you think about it. This will give us a deep, deep conviction cognitively. It'll give you a conviction as to how understanding of dependent origination will help us to create a sense of embrace, love and affection, care, the compassion towards others. So why in the first case, I did not have to ask other people. They came and they too, they were not complaining, they were not fighting, I did not even have to request. They knew that we were stuck and they just lifted the car and put it in the safe place, then we drove. In the second case, we requested, still people did not stop. Why? This is my question. Anyway, anyone, can you guess why in the first case? People voluntarily, and then I was so amazed. People around, walking around, they're smiling at each other, talking to each other. In the second case, returning at the plateau, nobody was stopping. You requested them to stop, still nobody stopped. Guess? What's the reference?
The second time they were all Chinese?
No. Chinese, they're extremely good people. CCP is a problem. Ideological problem is there. Otherwise, as a people, they're so good. Anyway.
They were afraid?
Fear. Yeah, your fear of the cold. Your fear of the cold, like that kind of sense of.
Why in the first case?
There was no fear.
People helping. Why in the second case? People not coming to help. Why?
Different circumstances.
Circumstances like what?
Different circumstances.
Like what?
Well, the first, you were lower, it wasn't as cold, people were happy, they were enjoying each other, they felt like giving help and sharing.
Okay, so let me give the answer.
Was it a private car? Because you had a private car?
No difference. I'll tell you. Because at the top, the plateau, the space is so wide. So you get stuck, anybody can pass by you without being hampered by our getting stuck there. In the second case, you get stuck, all the 1,000 cars below get stuck. Even if they are very angry with you, they cannot do anything. Even if they kill you, still we cannot do anything with the car. You get stuck there. So, but dependence on this car getting stuck, our cars getting stuck is originated, dependent origination. By liberating this car, our cars will be liberated. That is originated, dependent origination. They see it so clearly. Because of this cognitive awareness of dependency, that it's just pointless to fight with this, monk. To complain to this monk, no point, just help him. So that finally we can go. Otherwise we keep fighting, and he cannot lift this car. What can he do? So lift this car for him, and then our cars will be lifted. So dependent origination. When you see dependent origination so cognitively, so actively, vibrantly, there's no way other than to see that your compassion flows. You see the oneness of the family. This is so important. So this is why this concept of dependency is what is taught in the Nalanda tradition. So His Holiness the Dalai Lama he does not really want to promote Buddhism. He simply wants to promote what is known as universal ethics for the world. That the world should know that we are one family, not just the nice, what do you call it? What is that word? More formal formalities. No formalities. This is reality, that we are all dependent originated. And COVID-19 taught us very clearly how we are all dependently originated. Even if your country, one country is extremely effective in containing the COVID-19, but if you don't care of the other countries, which are poor countries, poorer country means not everybody is poor. They are ultra poorer the country, more the ultra rich people are there. Because the gap in rich and poor is so much. Majority can be very poor, but a handful can be extremely rich. And these people will travel. And these people, they depend on the poor people there. Because these poor people, they become rich. So they have to depend on them. So COVID travels to them. And they bring to your country. So this is how there's no escape. The COVID taught us that we are all dependent originated. So having said this, Tibet House is primarily, His Holiness was so happy that now we are focusing more on the education to promote the Nalanda philosophy of interdependency, to disseminate the message of universal compassion for the world. So with this, what the request Rinpoche came with is that the number one, say the pilgrimage. Number two is what is meant by merit accumulation. So let us say that this is a very serious question about merit accumulation. What do you mean by merit accumulation? Until we are convinced, cognitively we are convinced, we won't really have the enthusiasm, the joy in engaging in merit accumulation. We require that. We require the joy to make it very effective. And for that we need conviction. To gain conviction, we need to cognitively be aware that this is reality. So what does it mean by merit accumulation? It is like saying, it takes me back to when I was like age, I think 10 or 11 in school, that there was the marathon competition. Marathon. So they say the whole school is divided into 4 groups. So while you are there in school, for like 10 years, 12 years in the school, you belong to one group, that's it. That is your fixed group. And then we have very strong, the sense of patriotism to this group. This is my group. So there are all school competitions, the sports competition, elocution competition, debate competition, they all happen among these 4 groups. And my group belonged to the blue color. The color is blue. Blue, yellow, red, and green. And is this known as the Tisong, my group. And I was very little, and then the senior boys, senior girls, the marathon competition. So in the marathon starts from the playground, and then from there you have to run, then come back after like 1 hour. So when first I saw there was one who was number 1 100 meter runner. That was from my group, and he's so fast. So in this, when the marathon started, he was leading. He was at the top, the first. And I used to feel so proud. Wow, my group is leading. So happy. Then after 1 hour, then the red one comes, yellow come, red, yellow, green, yellow, no blue coming. What happened to the one who was leading? He was nowhere to be seen. Right? He was nowhere to be seen. He just, perhaps I don't think even he could complete the marathon also. So just tell me, why this person, they say initially he was the leading, and then he could not complete it. Forget about becoming the winner. He could not even complete. What was the problem with this guy? Tell me. He did not have the stamina. he had this skill and he had the rigor, but he did not have the stamina. So stamina requires a sustained energy. Sustained energy. If you have a sustained energy, it doesn't mean that you have the rigor. If your rigor doesn't mean that you have the stamina. This person has the stamina. This person had the rigor, but he did not have the stamina. But the person who finally came first, that person did not have the rigor, but had the stamina. So, what is merit? Merit is the stamina. Stamina of the spirituality. So finally, to succeed your gade parasam gade bodhiso, to attain enlightenment, you require mental energy, mental stamina. So this mental stamina can be built. This pilgrimage, these signs are the signs of somebody who became enlightened, somebody who saved the world. Prince Siddhartha, who became enlightened. Guru Padmasambhava, who sacrificed his life to save Tibet, to save the Indian people, then save Tibet. So these greatly enlightened beings, just Milarepa, the one again who became enlightened in Tibet. So Lama Tsongkhapa, who became enlightened in Tibet. So all these great teachers, the Sachin Gongyingpo, such a Pandit, the incredibly the great literary master and a great master. So these places, in the texts, sutras, and also the commentaries by the Indian masters, for example, like Abhisamaya Alankara, Ornament of Clear Realization, the text composed by Arimathea. So there, he taught about how if somebody attains the second level, second path, the path of preparation, Gade, second Gade, when you reach that path, then even your places, they are blessed, that anybody who comes, their mind will be influenced by your having blessed the place. So if that is with the second level, then the Buddha reached the fifth one, the ultimate one. So where the Buddha became enlightened in Bodh Gaya, Varanasi turned the wheel of Dharma, in Rajgir where the second turning wheel of Dharma happened, and so forth, and the Guru Padmasambhavas, the holy sites. These are all the enlightened beings. Enlightened beings, they bless the place so much. For example, like you wouldn't believe that the many cases of the miracles are there, but even forgetting about the miracles, even leaving aside the miracles, we see that once when I was in Debu Monastery for my studentship, when I was studying there, there was a very simple hut there, very, very simple hut. And now if you go there, you may feel that who must have survived in this hut? You may feel like this. But there was one monk who was way senior to me, and when he was living in this hut, you go in the hut, you see that this hut looks so elegant. It's so elegant, so beautiful, aesthetically so nice. And anybody who enters this small hut may wish to have a similar place like that. The moment he left, it's just like a haunted place. So this is a difference. Where the enlightened beings are there, the place is blessed. The place is blessed, and you go there, you'll feel the effect. You will feel the effect, and depending on your spiritual realization, if your spiritual realization is not as profound, then you go there, you are influenced, but you are unaware. And when you have your spiritualization is to some level, for example, like bodhicitta, wisdom of emptiness, and experience of the clear light, nature of your mind. So with this, you go to these places, then where you have been spending so many years in one particular place for your practice, you go to these places, suddenly the awakening happens. Awakening happens. But it doesn't mean that it happens to everybody. It happens to those people who are already on the verge to get that level, but it requires a special stimulus, and that these places, they are so blessed that you go there and you could feel that, and suddenly you could feel that. So, pilgrimage sites, the Buddha himself made it very clear that the beings, they advised by the Buddha to go for pilgrimage to the sites, to the holy sites. For example, like the birth, where the Buddha Shakyamuni took birth, Lumbini. Then where the Buddha attained enlightenment, Bodh Gaya. Then the first temple of Dharma, Varanasi. Second temple of Dharma, Rajgir, and so forth. And where the Buddha is passing away, so we are advised to take pilgrimage to these sites, and then because that these places will affect us. It's like sound of clap. Sound of clap. Okay, you stretch out your hands. Stretch out your two hands, and then just bang the two. Yes. So just as sound of clap, your spiritual realizations can come into being by the two hands coming together. One is the external factor and the other one is the internal factor. Internal factor is your own cultivation, your own faith, your cognitive transformation, the wisdom of emptiness, the four seals, and so forth, and the practice of Bodhicitta and so forth. And the other side is the blessings of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, external factor. So these two factors come together, then awakening can happen within us. So this is so important, and Buddha himself made it very clear. Number one. Number two, that Arya Maitreya, we all pray to Arya Maitreya, the future Buddha. Arya Maitreya also made it very clear that when you reached the Bodhisattva level part of preparation, not only that, the people around you will be affected, even the place will be affected, blessed. So anybody in the future, they come, they visit, they can have the spiritual awakening happening, provided they are ready from their side. And also that the Bodhisattva Shantideva, again in the text, very clearly indicated, chapter 9, the wisdom chapter, a guide to the Bodhisattva's way of life. He very clearly indicated that the Bodhisattvas, after becoming enlightened, they, for example, the stupas of the Bodhisattvas. What is stupa? Stupa is nothing, just made of the stones, bricks, clay, mud, these things. But where the Bodhisattvas, because of the relics contained there, Bodhisattvas and Buddhas not to mention, even the Bodhisattvas, the relics mentioned, being installed there, that spot which we call a stupa is blessed. And even after his demise, anybody who happened to be around that, this is considered to be so blessed, and their spiritual awakening happens. Okay. So with this in mind, the pilgrimage, this is so important, number one. Then number two is that with the pilgrimage, what is happening is that for the more realized people, they can feel that awakening. Whereas for ordinary people like us, the stamina, spiritual stamina, which is known as the merit, that is being energized, that is being enriched. And what is the benefit of this merit is that, number one, that journey towards enlightenment is not that easy. Say, some people, when they come in contact with the Dharma, they feel so energized, and then after 1 year, 2 years, they disappear completely. So stamina is missing. So the energy is missing, merit is missing. Number one. Number two is that our mind, if there's a merit accumulation with respect to the enlightened beings, then say in future, in this life, and also in the future, we said let's talk about the future lives. With the future lives, say you meet with the wrong spiritual instructions or spiritual instructions, which are not really for enlightenment, but for mundane. For example, like there are many spiritual, you know about the cults. the cults, and for example, like simple example which you will agree with me, the spirituality with animal sacrifice, believing in animal sacrifice. How can you believe in animal sacrifice to take you to become enlightened? So the point is that some people can easily be deviated, easily be lured by these, by the wrong path. Whereas if you have the merit, somehow you will not feel connected. Mentally you will not feel connected. At the moment you come in contact with the correct spiritual path, instantly you will feel connected. This is because of your merit. So merit plays a very important role. And there's some kind of the energy left there by these enlightened beings to these holy sites. And one example that I like to give you was that me, since my childhood, I would say 16, 17, 18, 19, for like 4 years, I used to be very skeptic. I was so fond of physics, and I was thinking of becoming a physicist, not a monk. I wanted to become a physicist. And don't ask me how I became a monk, rather than going to physics. That was a long story. Then I used to be very skeptic, particularly when physics was introduced as a separate subject. Then that I started to question everything, including, I would say, the Buddhist philosophy. In school, I started to ask questions, and then to my surprise, except for one teacher who happened to be trained in logic, philosophy, psychology, in Buddhist psychology, Buddhist philosophy, except for this teacher, majority of the Tibetan elders who I met in the school, and they did not really have answers to my questions. And I can easily go off the track. Okay, now Buddhism is totally blind faith. I could easily go off the track. Luckily, my teacher was there, and he, because trained in philosophy, logic, and psychology, the answers that I got were extremely convincing. So then this was what my background, and for the first time in my life, the Office of His Holiness the Dalai Lama sent me to Cambridge in England for my English, to improve my English. And in my school days, I used to have one school sponsor from London, not the main proper London, but the outskirts of London, Farnborough. And I was so keen that after all these many years, almost like she was my godmother, that when I was age 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 till like age 17, 18, and I was so keen to meet her because I was already in the Cambridge in England. And then I inquired, finally I was able to connect with her. And if she's alive today, guess what? Guess her age? She would be 105. Yeah. And then finally we met, and I stayed with her for 3 days in a house. And to my amazement, that the sleep, the 3 nights, the most beautiful, blissful sleep I had in my life. And the next day I told her that I'd like to share something with you. In my life, I've never had such a blissful sleep, extremely sound sleep, literally blissful experience. So peaceful, calm. And I said, this is amazing. All 3 nights. I didn't know what that is. And she said, I'm not surprised. And I said, why? She said, the bed on which you slept, I used that bed to treat people for the last 30 years. She was a healer. She was healing the people the last 30 years on that on the bed where I slept. So that effect, then I was very skeptical otherwise. So because that is experiential, I cannot reject it. So what I'm saying is that, so these things are very nuanced, the concepts, nuanced understanding. So, nuanced understanding, we cannot really, unless until somebody is extremely logically so refined, so nuanced, and most ordinary people cannot really understand this. And particularly if somebody is skeptic, they will easily rule this out. But what I would say is that what is so important is that merit accumulation is extremely important, so that in this life and in the future lifetimes as well, when we never know what kind of situation that we will meet with. And then if we meet with the philosophical teachings or spiritual teachings, very dangerous. So therefore, your mind, if you are meritorious, if you have enormous merit because of going for pilgrimages, and you're having accumulated so much merit and so forth, then somehow you will not feel connected. And then the moment you meet with the spiritual teaching, instantly you feel connected. So this is something extremely important, the merit accumulation. So, Rinpoche, I'd like to stop here, and I'd like to entertain one or two questions if you have.
So I'm excited about that. In the long term, of course, I want His Holiness to be here as long.
Not the successor, yes. Not the predecessor.
Yes, successor. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, this is I would say that His Holiness already thought about it like 20, 30 years ago. Already thought about it all, and he already made the plan properly. That's amazing. One, that finally His Holiness the Dalai Lama is so important for the world, and he will not say that I'm important for the world, but this is reality. He's so important for the world. Today, believe it or not, if you look at the world leaders, just think of any leader who's actually thinking of the whole world beyond one's own seat, right? Beyond one's own seat, and then one's own ethnicity, and then one's own religion, and one's my. Beyond that, who's there as a leader, right? It doesn't mean that except for His Holiness, nobody's there. This is not true. It's not true. There are many, but on the level of the world leaders, on the leadership level, world's leadership level, on that level, we see that hardly you find. In the olden days, there may be some, but hardly we find somebody who really thinks of the whole world, that the world should be a harmonious place. We should always reach out to each other. We should see the interdependency. And then I constantly just imagine, I'm just daydreaming that what if the world leaders, they're all like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, trillions of dollars, all will be spared and can be invested for the human flourishing. And there should be no visa. No visa. Visa becomes totally irrelevant. Anybody can travel here, there, yeah. So this is amazing thing. But the point is that His Holiness for Tibet and for the whole world. So in fact, His Holiness says his mind is more for the world. So meanwhile, the Tibet, His Holiness, somebody asked a very tricky question to His Holiness in a public. Your Holiness, while you talk about the world, I can see that you have an affinity, you have a soft corner for the Tibetans. So His Holiness said that, I have my 5 fingers. I have to take care of all the 5 fingers. But if one finger is injured, I have to take special care of this finger. Why? I love all my fingers. Right? At the moment, Tibetans, they're suffering terribly, and I have a moral responsibility to take care of them. Meanwhile, it doesn't mean that I don't take care of the other fingers. All human beings are very close to me. This is His Holiness' response. It's beautiful. So His Holiness has already left an incredibly great legacy for the world. So now it is the responsibility for all of us, particularly people who could really see the value of His Holiness on this earth, the legacy of the universal ethics. Today, today in the shape of what is known as social, emotional, ethical learning, C-learning, social, emotional, ethical learning, undertaken, spearheaded by Emory University, Atlanta, Georgia. Emory University. So this is a program under the umbrella of His Holiness's blessings and vision. This program is now being implemented all over the world. In the institutions, colleges, universities, schools is being implemented. So we need people to now spread this concept to say that there is something which is left by His Holiness the Dalai Lama for the world, the universal ethics for the world. And if this is something which the UNO can adopt to be implemented across the world, then the world is going to be very different, because the future leaders will come from this education program, and these leaders will have a sense of the interdependency, understanding of interdependency, and because of which they will see each other in the light of brotherhood and sisterhood, not as enemies. So the world is going to be very different. Our job is just to see what we can do to encourage other people who connect with the educational institutions, that there's a program there, you can just spread this, in whatever way that we can be. So this for the world, from His Holiness. And for Tibet, His Holiness already thought about, say, how to appoint the next Dalai Lama. So all these His Holiness is very systematically being the planning, and of course greatly it depends on the merits of the world, merits of the world at large, and also the Tibetan people and the people who connect, each one of us. We all connect with the Tibetan Buddhism, with Rinpoche, so we all are connected with this. Our merit also plays very important. So we, from our side, for example, you going for a pilgrimage, accumulate merit, dedicate it for His Holiness's long life, that His Holiness's vision of the universal ethics, social, emotional, ethical learning, C-learning, that be adopted, that be heard of, that it be implemented by as many institutions as possible across the world. So this, if we can do, that would be amazing. Next question. Yes.
Can the Dalai Lama choose to not be reincarnated?
So the one thing is, I would say, is that reincarnation, as of course we want Buddha Shakyamuni himself. Buddha can manifest himself infinite times and say, hey, what's your name? Kelly. Kelly, don't worry, I'll come as 100 Buddhas next around surrounding you. But it's like the sound of a clap, two hands coming together. Our merit also plays a very important role. Because of which, say, if our merit is extremely, say, the massive, then they say, like Buddha Shakyamuni, nobody identified him as the reincarnation, but he came out and manifested as a Buddha. So likewise, all these things will happen. And on top of that, if everybody is so meritorious as what I'm talking about, they should be like the Bodhisattvas. If the whole world is a Bodhisattva, then we don't need another Bodhisattva, because they will take care of themselves. So therefore, we have to take care of those people who cannot take care of themselves. Who are those people who cannot take care of themselves? Those who are less meritorious. Less meritorious means that they don't have enough merit for His Holiness the Dalai Lama to manifest, say, I'll come, next worry, don't worry, I'll come. At the moment I'm born, I'll recite all the Heart Sutra directly by my heart, right? We don't have this amount of merit. Because of which, then it is like So one is the spiritual aspect, and the other one is the conventional reality. What the world is like. For example, the Panchen Lama, say the Chinese, politically, for example, Buddhism declined in India. Why? Primarily because of the kings, many of the kings in those days. At one time, many of the kings, they became the patrons of the Buddhism. And other times they were influenced by the non-Buddhists, and because of which then the Buddhism, they did not really get the support of the royal families, and because of which then the decline started. So these are realities. So with the reality, CCP is there. CCP is very strong, and what it does, the world really cannot say so much. They're so scared of CCP. Not that it will come to attack you, economic influence, the economic dependency, because of which then CCP, they just put on a totally different facade from what they are. They don't believe in religion. They're purely non-religious. They're anti-religion. But the reincarnation has nothing to do with anti-religion. It's a spiritual concept. And yet, they said that no, the way someone said next the Dalai will take birth, where that we know. So they act as though like they are the highest authority of the spiritual, they are like the Buddhas. This is a total hypocrisy with the CCP. This is a problem. And yet, for example, America, they say, is trying its best to say that, to raise the voice, that this is a spiritual matter and you have nothing to do with it. It's about the Tibetans. They'll decide. But CCP, it doesn't matter. If they have the confidence with the economy. Where the economy is there, we can place the world any way we like. You don't believe in religion, but religion we can decide. So this is the amount of the sense of confidence that they have. So these are the practical realities. Yeah. More question?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, outside of pilgrimage, what are the things you can do to gain merit?
Okay. This is a good question. So basically, in fact, I'm very happy that Rinpoche made this request about this merit accumulation, because that to go into deeper, it has the deeper things to do. For example, say, when we say this huge screen, monitor screen, and then whatever is happening on the small chips is being displayed in the huge screen. This screen, what is happening on the screen is actually nothing happening on the screen. It's actually happening in these small chips there, very tiny chips there. So likewise, all our external things, pilgrimage and so forth, they are related with the merit accumulation, and these are the big, huge screens which will be visible. But the small chips is your mind. Your mind is the small chips. It's all happening in this mind. When we are beginners, external activities will play a huge role in affecting this mind. When your mind becomes very evolved, then external things do not really matter as much, because that all the movement can happen from internal. So at the moment, we cannot have the movement created inside. It requires external, the factors to make it move. Like the blessed, the sites, the Buddhas, meeting with the great teachers like His Holiness Dalai Lama and so forth. So these will bring some movement here. For example, like if I'm sick, my hand cannot move, then I need a physiotherapist, outside physiotherapist to make my hand move like this. Once I have my move like this, I don't need physiotherapist. If the physiotherapist, it can be hindrance to me, because I like to move like this, but a physiotherapist may not understand this. You're getting it? So I don't want physiotherapy, I want to do it myself. So this is when you become very evolved, then you have full control of how to make your mind move from very rigid state to the total expansiveness, from a very gross state to the subtlest form, from the very small to the expansive, to the very gross to the subtlest. So the part is, say, within the mind, we see that I talked about the rigor and the stamina. So within the mind, what is that rigor? That rigor is the cognitive side of the mind, which is the wisdom. And the stamina is the bodhicitta. So for the practice of bodhicitta, practice of renunciation, practice of generosity, all these 6 perfections except for the wisdom. So you engage in any of these practices, they help us to energize our mind. And the wisdom will give you the direction, and the other practices will give us the energy. So we require, it is like somebody who knows where to go, but who does not have energy to go. Someone who's like a young boy, bully boy. Bully boy with so much energy, but not knowing where to go. You're getting it? It was like me when I was a little boy, right? So much energy. And then I must be aged like 10 or 11 or 12. And my classmates, they were so way more upgraded in comparison with me. Say they're more updated. Say thought about Richard Gere. You know Richard Gere? Richard Gere, right? Gere. So young boys, they would say as young children in a school. Yeah, there was a Richard Gere, Gere, Gere. So Richard Gere. This young boy, me, I have no clue what Richard Gere is. And everybody, Richard Gere came. And there was so much excitement, they were just running. And I also like to run with them, but not knowing where to run. So I have so much energy to run, right? But not knowing where to run. So I don't have the direction, I have the energy, right? And my friend who's sick, who has the direction, Richard Gere is there, right? But he So the point is that we require, for the spiritual journey, we require 2 things. One is the energy, and the other is the direction. So direction is given by the wisdom, and the energy is given by the merit accumulation. So say we have the 2 wings of the bird, the wisdom and the compassion. Compassion, bodhicitta, generosity, all the 6 perfections, they can be classified into 2 groups. One is the wisdom side and the merit side. Merit side meaning the wisdom take aside, the rest fall under the merit side. So we do any of these things, for us we do these things, then the merit is being accumulated. So meanwhile, doing the same thing with respect to these holy sites, pilgrimages, doing all these things, like taking Bodhisattva vows, like even reciting Heart Sutra, and so forth, going there to the spiritual side, remembering why this place is so important. Because, let's say, Rajgir, why this place is so important? Because the Buddha taught Heart Sutra here. So why Heart Sutra is important? Why the Buddha is very important? Why? Because he has become enlightened. What do you mean by enlightenment? Enlightenment means somebody who has attained the 3 perfect qualities: perfect love, perfect knowledge, and perfect power. Perfect love is very important. So this I like to learn from him. Perfect wisdom, I like to learn from him. Perfect power, I like to learn from him. So that way we see that this is the living place where you will be inspired. You'll be inspired. As you're inspired, and then you do anything with this inspiration, that is known as accumulative merit. So that you can do just sitting on your own without going out. But for the ordinary people like us, going out is very important for pilgrimages. These are so important because we need the support of the external factors. Okay. So the point is that for us, let's say that even for you to travel with Rinpoche on pilgrimage, and that you, how many days you? 26 days. So, yeah, for some longer, let's say average like 26 days. Say that the day one you start, and some people they may feel that, okay, something else comes up. So Rinpoche, I'm very sorry, I have to terminate I have to stop, right? And some people the physically I don't feel so well now. Somehow something is not going wrong, or some very important thing. So that way you can continue something good. Even to do something good, even to start, we require merit, the energy to start. It is like starting a business. We need a capital, right? To start a startup, you need a capital. So then to sustain it requires more energy. So then the stamina comes to play. So it acts in all cases in your journey of the virtue. Yeah. Like a fuel, exactly. Yeah, this one. So the example that I give is the fuel. Yeah. Next question.
Translator, change
In fact,
things for you.
I would say that the number one, some of you may be very curious, how did you become the translator of His Holiness? Maybe this was be your first question. To be very honest, it is purely accidental. Don't expect some miracle. Don't expect that he's something very special. Nothing special, to be very honest. Nothing special, nothing miracle. It's purely accidental. You're getting it? How accidental? Because that number one, that say, I have a little bit of learning, the philosophy learning, the traditional, the philosophy learning, and then with the language, English language, because I went to the regular school, English language is there. So the philosophy learning is half-half, English half-half. English maybe even like 25, right? Even 4, right? But the competition is so less. Their competition. Some have philosophy 80-90%. Mine was like 40-50. And those people having the philosophy 80-90%, their English is 0 or 5. And those people who have English 80-90%, philosophy 0 or 5. So the people with the competition, they get the opportunity. So I'm very lucky that I happen to be that person with that combination, although 40% total, right? So it's purely accidental. And on top of that, it's purely I would say it's purely accidental that that my teacher, after me completing my the traditional studies, then my teacher said, okay, now Dorji, you finish your studies, what do you like to do? And then I expressed my own the aspiration. And my teacher said that's good, but why not you seek an appointment, the audience with His Holiness, and then His Holiness will let His Holiness decide. And of course, what a great honor. But what is the if you are a garbage, what's the use? So everybody seeks to have an audience with His Holiness. It's a great honor. It's a lifelong experience. And so accept it. So this how, so that's pure accidental. Yeah. So the next point is then, what did I benefit out of this? the benefit is enormous. Enormous. The how, number one, that since my school days, then in the monastery, I was more focused on I was more like a bookish person. Bookish meaning not even the widely read, but the scriptural, but textbook, not cannot go out of the out of box, always in the box, always in the ghetto. So much, inside, and not at all open to the world, never open to the world. So then just observing His Holiness. His Holiness is like a sun, like an ocean, with all the details, with the vastness there. For us, even the detail is missing, forget about vastness. So that is something which is amazing. And compassion, what I learned in the text, you look at His Holiness, you can see the compassion taught in the text is actually demonstrated by His Holiness. I can see that. And the wisdom, His Holiness can be like another, like a Nalanda master, like Arjuna. He can just compose his own text, but he never does it. What he teaches is extremely experiential, very profound, but he always makes sure that the audience, the people who learn from him, they don't stray from the main Nalanda tradition. So he would make sure that all what he's sharing is somehow connected with the Nalanda master's teachings. And the compassion that he demonstrated, the openness is amazing, so open-minded. At the same time, the compassion is just amazing. I've seen many such incidents with my bare eyes. Once, His Holiness was in I think Costa Rica or El Salvador. I think El Salvador. And the finance minister of El Salvador invited His Holiness for the luncheon. Hosted luncheon for His Holiness in honor of His Holiness's visit. And as a protocol of a state, that His Holiness as the chief guest, and then the foreign minister and all the entourage members of His Holiness, entourage members of the foreign minister, were all there. His Holiness on one side, the foreign minister, then we all just down on the same table. And then after the meal, foreign minister requested His Holiness if he could take a photograph with His Holiness. And then His Holiness said, yes. So as a protocol, that all the food servers, the waiters, waitresses, they were all to stand there in like a curve, stand there. And then the guests, His Holiness as chief guest, and then the host, the foreign minister, they were in the front. Then His Holiness said, His Holiness, he said, what are you all doing? Right? He pointed to all the waiters and waitresses, chefs. What are you all doing there? Why are you standing there? Come here. And they could not believe that usually this is a breach of the protocol. They should be standing there. They should not interrupt. And then still they were sitting there. Then He said, what are you doing? I said, come. Come, right? So the chief guest is inviting them. What an honor for them. So many of them came. One lady was still very hesitant, stayed there. And then His Holiness pointed to this lady, hey you, why are you standing there? Come, right? And she came, and the minister and everybody was pushed aside, and all the waiters and waitresses, chefs, they were all with His Holiness. His Holiness was just putting his arms over them. And they are literally crying. They could not see somebody of His stature giving them the importance and affection. They could not believe it. They were all shedding tears out of joy. So these are the amazing. I could see the compassion that I learned in the text actually demonstrated by His Holiness in real life. That's amazing. Yeah. And then the next thing that I learned a great deal is that otherwise just just an ordinary young boy from a simple family, right? Nothing. And then always in the Tibetan ghetto, Buddhist ghetto, Buddhist, Tibetan, that is, he doesn't see anything beyond. And for him, Buddhism is the best. Tibetan is the best. And all others are secondary. This is how narrow-minded this boy was. Seeing His Holiness, wow, he's really not only embracing others, but thinking of the world, welfare of the world. For him, there's no difference between Tibetans and non-Tibetans, no difference. Buddhist, non-Buddhist, no difference. That everybody should be happy. This is the basic principle. His belief. That's amazing. This I learned from him, and then I see that where may I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. His Holiness, look at His Holiness. This is meaning, may I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. Whether you're Buddhist or not, doesn't matter. Whether you're Tibetan, not Tibetan, doesn't matter. Whether you're this gender, that gender, it doesn't matter. As long as you're a sentient being, I want to become Buddha for you. So this is something which I've learned from His Holiness. What we see in the text actually seen, demonstrated by His Holiness in every detail of his the activities here. Okay, Rinpoche, thank you so much, Rinpoche, thank you so much. And Sharon, thank you. And each one of you, thank you so much.